Hello! So we are here to do a book review. Also, I've cut my hair first off. What do you guys think? I love it. I know everybody's having their hair cut like this, but I love it. I think it looks great, and I'm very super happy with it. This is the shortest I've ever had my hair cut, and I just super love it. So anyway, I super love it. Anyway, we are here to do a book review, as my title suggests. Today's book review is All of My Friends Are Superheroes by Andrew Kaufman. I read this book upon recommendation of somebody on Instagram, because that's how we all run our lives now, through people we don't know on the internet. But somebody I follow on Instagram was saying how much they love this book, that this is their favourite book ever. And I was like, well, I'm going to add it to my reading list. And then I took my reading list out with me and happened to be in Waterstones, and I just saw this on the shelf and I was like, oh, I'll pick that up because that's on the list. And because it's not very thin, it's not a very long book, I just finished... I read quite a thick book. The last book I read was quite a thick book, so I figured that we would switch to a thin book. This book is only 108 pages, and I'll read you the blurb. So the blurb is, all Tom's friends really are superheroes. Tom even married a superhero, the Perfectionist. But at their wedding, the Perfectionist is hypnotised by her ex, Hypno, to believe that Tom is invisible. Nothing he does can make her see him. 6 months later, the Perfectionist is sure that Tom has abandoned her, so she's moving to Vancouver. She'll use her superpower to leave the heartbreak behind, with no idea that Tom is beside her. She boards the plane. Tom has until they touch down to convince her he's there, or he loses her forever. A wonderful and heartbreakingly funny tribute to love. That explains it quite adaptly, actually. It is wonderfully funny and a little bit heartbreaking. It's not very long, like I said. It's I think this would be quite a good book to take on holiday with you. If you are going away for 10 days and you want a book to read, this is probably I would recommend you take this with you. Not some of the heavy books I take. But, so I read this, like I said, on recommendation of somebody, is that better? On recommendation of somebody from the gram, from Instagram. And I don't want to say I didn't like it, because I did. Obviously I liked it because I finished it. There's a couple of books on my shelf that I'd stopped reading because I wasn't enjoying them, but I don't know what it is about it. I wasn't really captivated by it. It's very, very odd, and I didn't expect it to be that when I picked it up. And maybe that's what put me off, essentially, because I was like, this is very, very, very strange, and it's not what I thought it was going to be. And I don't know, it's funny, and it is clever, and there's like a lot of, not information to take in, they tell you a lot of stories about loads of other different people, and it's, I don't know, I can't really describe it. It's very, very, very strange and funny. And you do sympathise with Tom, the main character. You do sympathise with him. If you have ever felt a bit like an outcast and a bit like you don't fit in with all the people around you, then you will sympathise with Tom, who is the main character of this book. Obviously all of his friends are superheroes and he's not a superhero. And so if you ever felt like that, you will sympathise with this character. And if you've ever had like really friends where something dramatic happens to your friends all the time, I think you'll find this very, very funny. But I don't know, I felt like I finished it because I was halfway through it and I just had to finish the book. But I wasn't, like, I put this down quite a lot. It wasn't one of those, I need to finish this book today. I think this has taken me 3 or 4 weeks to read it, and I don't know, it was good, but I wasn't blown away by it. I don't know, maybe, I don't know what it was. I don't know why. It was very, very good, but I can't put my finger on what it was that made me not enjoy it as much. It's quite different from some of the books I read. I don't really read a lot of like really funny books. I read a lot of sort of real books, a lot of realism books, and maybe that's why I didn't enjoy this so much. But I would recommend you read it. I recommend everybody give this a read because it's very funny, and if you don't sympathise with Tom, you will sympathise with somebody in this book. And I think what's so interesting is, so obviously all of his friends are superheroes, but they all have quite interesting superpowers. So there's the perfectionist, and her superpower, she's perfect at everything. There's the amphibian, who's an amphibian. Like, there's Hypno. There's one of them called... So there's Falling Girl, and Falling Girl won't go any higher than the second floor of a building. She never set foot on a balcony, and the floor is the only place she'll sit. A small sample of things she's fallen off of include trees, cars, grace, which I thought was really funny, first-story windows, horses, ladders, bicycles, a wagon, countless kitchen counters, and her grandmother's knee. I fall over all the time. I fall off everything. My best friend likes to tell the story of the time I fell down 3 steps outside of a building when we were at school. So, like, I get that. That would probably be my superpower. There's the Stress Bunny, which if you guys play Sims, you probably know what the Stress Bunny is. If you arrive at a party and suddenly find yourself completely relaxed, there's a good chance a Stress Bunny is there. The Couch Surfer, who has the empowered with ability to sustain life and limb without a job, sustainably can play in a permanent place of residence on the couch. So, like, the superpowers are, like, really funny stuff. It's not like, oh, this guy can go through walls and this guy can fly. It's not like Superman kind of stuff. It's really, really funny stuff that you're like... So, you know, for example, like, somebody says, oh, that could be your superpower. Like, for me, talking is probably... Oh, no. So my superpower is that I can identify a song in about 0.4 seconds of an intro to a song. As long as I've heard it 3 or 4 times, I can tell you what that song is. Like, straight away. We play a game called Beat the Intro, and I'm not allowed to play Beat the Intro because I'm very, very good at it. It's my superpower. My friend's superpower is being able to tell you what car, like, from like a mile away, and be like, that's that car. And so it's like stuff that you do in your everyday life, and so it becomes these people's superpowers. And that's such an interesting concept because it makes you, because there's a section in it and it's like, not everybody knows they have superpowers. You can't go out looking for it, it just happens to you one day. And I thought that was such an interesting concept because it made me sit there and think, what's my superpower? Do I have a superpower? And then I settled on Beat the Intro is probably my superpower. But everybody has sat there at one point in their life and gone, yeah, it's my superpower. When I used to work for Costa, people used to be like, how do you remember everybody's order? You know all these people, how do you remember? It's my superpower. It's not, but like, I used to tell people that, and so everybody said that at least once in their life. And so I think that instead of you saying to somebody, if you had a superpower, what would it be? And everybody says to fly or like invincibility. Mine would be to breathe under the water, just BTW if anybody's interested. Or like read minds. This makes you think, oh, actually, my superpower would be something super lame, like I would be book stacking girl and just have like a ton of books stacked. That would be my friend, but like a ton of books stacked everywhere. And so I really I liked that concept of it. I did like this book, I did enjoy it, but it is not the best book that I have ever read. And I probably would not put it up in the top 5 books I've read this year, unfortunately. Because, I don't know, it didn't really, really float my boat. Which is a shame, because it's a good book, but I didn't enjoy it that much. But yeah, it is a really good read, and if you're going on holiday, or you just kind of want like a light-hearted, funny read, give this a read, and tell me what you think. If you guys have read it, and like you think I'm crazy and I'm wrong, let me know, let's have a discussion. Don't be rude, don't be nasty, but let's have a discussion. Prove me wrong, convince me that I'm missing something. And that's that. So, like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you know somebody who's read this book and enjoyed it, let me know. Tell them to watch this video and leave me a comment so we can discuss it. That was like crazy eyes for a second then. And I'll see you next time. Kwaherini. Hello. Sorry, I just got a text, like literally the second I start this video. Oh. Okay, that's not important. I apologise.